simple statements and then yes.
Weird. That's like.
What's your the most like common, I guess?
She said that she's the customer and
Looks like he's a better You had ultimate ornaments laughing all the time. This ain't the ball that, you know.
What else was out here? I heard something. We have fail or something.
Sure, you know it's violent.
Unsexy?
Did I get you a gift? Oh,
Yeah, I'm made up
Good to know. Hey, Bill. Bill. Remember, I got. I just watched him and he said that out loud. I'm like, dude.
was there yesterday. I went into the
People, listen up. You know what I mean? I know there ain't no water bottles home. Okay, I'll
yeah, like when we invented the word and why are we, using it? But I think that our idea.
Because you could look at somebody and say, well, I don't see. Well, that means you're not acknowledging it. Some of us are awesome, some of us are I'm not trying to try my best to say people some black.
Can I say just when you tell would that be?
And the soon to put that over.
I'm just gonna carry on.
I was like, he wants to over.
Why is Carlos that bigger?
Okay, listen, if y'all all come back to the front and go ahead and bring your diversity statements. Is there a group that would like to go first? Okay. So y'all are going to come up. You've got the floor. So y'all go ahead. Everyone else, if y'all are going to come and have a seat.
I have to take notes. Oh my God, you forgot.
Are we starting first?
If you want, if you want. Gotcha.
He said I'm organized, but I'm not a fool. That's what that was my obsessive. You didn't like my food today? That's why I was trying to protect you. He's on your side. Could you please stop jumping on him? He's on your side. Ooh! I would have made you cry by telling you about the kid. They said we were going to cry. See? See?
The blue were gonna cry. Blue here. I know, right?
I used to like, how you gonna tell me this one should cat run away from cat?
Be like, ah, look at the cat's head. Barbecue time. I'm kidding. There you go, I don't care.
I was trying to think.
Turn up!
Because ours doesn't need
I was about to feel why you're going into the water.
Wait, let me get all.
She's not even ready.
We'd like to see how you improvise.
No, it's solar eclipse, so can't.
It's not so likely.
I think we have to stand a little closer to them. I'll hold it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we are student life university experience. And certain things that you will notice in our little diagram that we have right here are a lot of adjectives. So basically, these adjectives represent differences in us all. And we are all some of these.
Yeah, read them out loud.
Awesome, tall, short, happy, sad, black, white, calm, rich, poor, excited, sexy, reserved, nervous, emo, athletic, lazy, skinny, married, father, young, old, Muslim, Christian, Jews, Buddhist, atheist,
I like this.
nerds, high school dropout, straight, lesbian, gay, Republican, Democrat, disabled.
Hang on 1 second. You have fathers in there, but where's the mom?
It says etc.
We're supposed to be single parents, but we're running fast.
Yeah, we were running out of paper.
Alright, I'm fine. Let me hold on to that, please. Alright. So as you can see, this is what type of people you can see in ACC or in any different campuses, right? We're all anyways, so we're all students, everyone's different in his own different way. But if we think about it in an open-minded, we're all humans. We all bleed red. We all breathe the same air, right? We all feel pain, we all feel joy. So there's not really much you can say that I am Arab and you're Mexican or you're white or you're black. We're all humans. I'm gonna pass it on to number 30.
Okay, like first of all, we chose SL and specifically it's narrative first experience because I think we're an awesome group. Like when I look at all of us, like we're so different. Like I'm an African.
Behind you is-
She's an Indian. You got
That's it.
We see Mexicans, disabled, tall, short. It doesn't matter. Like I think all of us, like I think all those different things, when we put all of them together, we create something big. And I think like we can use, I think other people can use it as an example, like to create like a better organization. Like I want to take for example the US government. I think if there was more diversity, like if there are disabled people that are represented, I think the disabled people will feel more happy to see someone being represented there. If a black, like, yeah, the president is black, but most of the people are white or rich male. So I think there should be more diversity and they should use our example, first year experience, and we can help others be better.
All above.
Just keep it simple, respect, accept, love. And I think if there was a hungry vampire in this room, I don't think you would go PG on them. We all have red blood, so there you go.
So the bottom was on mine.
Okay, so our statement is I am, you are, we are all.
One.
Okay, no, well, and it's because I want to say that there's no differences, like we just explained. Everyone just spoke from their heart. Like they said, in the government, in the workplace, everywhere, and it really means a lot. It really means a lot to us that we are part of student life, first year experience, because we're the ones in control. We're the ones that can make the difference, not only for this group, but for the next group, and for the groups to come. Not only in this area, but also in any other place.
It's our job to make sure that everyone gets along and
Yes.
live happily ever after.
Unified.
That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Let's go second.
Okay, so to start off, our group name is the Rocking Rio Creek because around our campus, Rio Grande, Cypress Creek. So yeah. Okay, so our organization we chose was Student Life. It's specifically the campus team of Student Life. So it was an internal diversity quote statement. We came up with equality is becoming of us all. So this means that even though we all may be from different diverse backgrounds, when we come and sit down at a table and come up with an event or something, we all have equal representation there at that table.
And taking it up to a professional level, while still at an individual level, within student life, we're FYE, and then there's also directors of diversity. There's directors of wellness, entertainment, there's the specialists, there's the coordinators. And so we all have these different positions on our campus team and within student life as a whole. But at the end of the day, our collective goal is to serve the students at ACC. And so really and truly, none of our positions are greater or none are better or worse than the other because that's what we're here for.
Going up for her, as a leader, we all bring a certain dose of diversity to the whole pool of diversity itself.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We're customer service representatives for ACC, for the students. So anything that they need, they come in and they ask you, where's this? Where's this? You don't, again, point out at it, you take them to the place because that's our job.
So my thing was, when I thought of equality, I thought about, of course, equal, but being open-minded. As ACC is very diverse and untraditional, at the end of the day, we're all equal, no matter what walks of life.
And equality is becoming of us all. As part of the inner core of student life, we all need to be aware. We are
serving the students. So no matter where we are, we need to remember that we are role models, we are representing student life, and we also need to be observant, be aware and observant as to the students that are coming into our office, the students that are coming up to us asking us questions when we're on the table, not just to what they're saying, but what else might be going on with that student. Be observant and be open.
That's it.
Anyone wants to go last?
No, we're good.
We're gonna
Alright. So, hello people, can I have your attention please?
Sorry.
No, aren't you?
Well,
Alright.
on my mind, maybe on you.
I like Dino. Alright, so our organization is the Boys and Girls Club.
The Boys and Girls Club is a community after-school program for children of all walks of life. And our mission is to provide an accepting and safe environment for children of all ages and genders.
For sexual orientation, ethnicity, and social background.
Religion and beliefs to grow in an after-school program supported by the community.
The diversity statement is a village to raise a child. We wanted to keep it concise.
Exactly. Easy, just right. I know, right? On the paper it looks a lot.
So, I'll do a little recap and then I'm going to show you the other diversity statement. So first thing that I noticed in y'all's groups, well, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about observations that I made in general, and this is not directed at anyone in particular. But the one thing that I did notice, all of you have really short diversity statements. They're all pretty much one sentence, just a few words. I feel like the goal with those was to be sort of non-specific and broad, so that it's open to interpretation, which I think is a really, really good thing. There were a couple of you sort of in your explanation of who you were as an organization, as an entity, did a good job, but attempted to sort of connect with identities. And I think in the first example, it was, hold on, where the mother's at, right? So as a word of advice, one of the difficult things to do when you start to connect with identities, once you start that list, you gotta understand that list. Yeah, if you're gonna list one, you gotta list them all. So what I think is good about you all's statements is that you didn't attempt to do that in your statements, which is important because once you do that, it does leave it broad. And that's more inclusive. Again, it was a good goal, right? But it's more inclusive to not include, unless you're going to include all. Now, there are some ways to do that. If we have more time, we can talk about looking at broad groups. But even then, you know, there are so many different identities out there. And then everybody in this room, everybody out there carries multiple identities. And so again, once you start to try to list one, you can't list them all, which I don't know that we can, right? And I think I like where you all went with your statement, so there's that. How many of you felt super comfortable up in front of the group? In front of the group just now, okay? How many of you still felt pretty nervous? Okay. How many of you were like, wait, did I just get up and do that? Yeah. All right. So here is, and I know you all are, have you all already done, I know you all have projects, so sort of group projects you all put together. Have you all done those yet? That's coming up in a couple weeks, right? Thursday. Okay, so Thursday. So, but there's going to be a few groups that, yeah. So it is important. important that you all own your nervousness, own the fear. Matter of fact, embrace it, right? I'll tell you what I do with my fear. I am nervous every time I get up in front of a group of people. And I have fortunately had people say, huh? And every time I get in front of people, I'm nervous, right? And some of you, have you heard that before? Like, you'll be like, no, I felt really nervous, and people are kind of surprised at you, right? So you know that life. All right, good. The important thing is you have to know what to do when you're nervous, what to do with that energy. If anything, it fuels me, and if anything, it actually helps settle me. I'm one of those people that I'm going to be the whole drive over as I'm setting up. I mean, I look real calm, but I'm like, PowerPoint froze. What's going to happen? What if they don't like me? I go through all of that until it's time to actually get up and go. So once John and Tanisha are like, and let's turn it over to Kyle, then it all goes away. It'll pick back up, and I'll think about things that I didn't do or said wrong or whatever on the whole drive home, because it'll take me 45 minutes to get home today. But once I get home, then I'll try to release it. So the important thing is those presenters that you're just like, wow, trust me, they're just as nervous as the next person. But I think it's knowing how to let it go, or how to turn that into motivation or energy for you to get through. The other thing is, most of the time we'll be nervous and we'll worry for a very long period of time for a very short presentation, right? I may have been worried about presenting in front of you all day, and I'm only with you for 3 hours, and then it's over. So.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. Like, that reminds me of doing the zip line, because that's exactly what it felt like. Like, you're so scared, but it's like a good scare. It's kind of hard to explain it. You feel nervous, you feel excited, like all at the same time. It's finally when you just go down, it's just a mashup of all these energies coming together. And it's just a really flowing feeling. So yeah.
Sometimes you flip upside down because you're such a massive.
Oh, and that happened. Oh, I see. Okay.
That's what she was like.
That was the acrobatics that you were talking about. Okay.
Like, you were talking about being nervous, and I get nervous every time I'm in front of people. It doesn't matter if I know you guys, if I'm up there to present, those nerves are there. I like freeze and spot. But like she was saying, you know, the zip line, I used that because that was the most scared I've ever been in my life. Like, legit. That feeling of pure terror. When I looked out at those people, that fear was gone. Because that's nothing compared to how I felt on Saturday morning.
And as we go forward, and when you all are in front of your new students for the first time, trust me, they are more nervous than you are. Trust me. And now some may take the stress level up, but essentially you are seen as the expert, right? They want to hear from you, they want to learn from you. Now, sometimes it manifests differently, right? So sometimes you get the too cool for school, what time am I going to be able to get up out of here? Can I miss this? Can I get out of this kind of people? But that's also essentially how they're emitting their nerves, right? Because and you all, the other thing is you all can connect with, I can connect with that same feeling. I'm not saying that you're not confident. You can be confident, but you're still nervous, right? Going from freshman in high school to sophomore in high school is very different than going from high school student to college student. It's very different than moving. It's very different than paying $600 for books. It's very different than, when's my financial aid gonna come in? It's very different than, am I gonna like my roommate? It's very different than, I'm on my own now. It's very different than, I don't know if I can do this. That's what your students are coming in with. And so you get to, I think if you're nervous, and when you're nervous, and I love the analogies of, you know, we have this build up, and then there does come a point where you can, should, and I think need to just let it go. Pick it back up if you want to later, but let it go. When you let it go, it's gone for the most part. And you get to really just help and connect. And if you sort of, for me, I pick up on energy from people. I think it's one of my gifts. And side note, I think we all need to tap into, understand what our gifts are. We all have them. Once you understand what your gifts are, then you can truly share them with the world. So you have to know, understand, connect with what your gifts are. I get to read people's energy, and whenever I'm in a group, especially when I'm with new students, when I'm with the students that we hire at UT for the first time at orientation, they're nervous. And I get to sort of tap into that, and then it becomes this goal to help ease their nerves, right? And that's how I try to present. So I think you all did a fantastic job. It wasn't a long presentation, but it was getting up, it was being nervous, it was working through that, and that's what you all did. The other thing that I noticed that's just kind of a side note, how many of you when you were presenting felt like people weren't listening to you? Because they weren't looking at you, because they were talking, because they were, right? Something else you have to prepare for is, you cannot, in my opinion, you should not list out in your mind how you want people to respond to you, okay? So when you look out on the audience, don't expect everyone's sets of eyes to be on you. Now, I don't want that anyway, because it just makes me more nervous when everybody's looking at you, right? That's why sometimes for some people, 1,000 people is much better than 25, because I can look at, I see 50 eyeballs looking at me right now, right? Versus 2,000, you know, it's a wash. But I think for a lot of people, you know, they get so sort of consumed with how people are supposed to respond to them, and that's either going to make you more nervous, it might have you stumble over what you're presenting, or you're going to feel like you're not getting what you're supposed to be getting, but what are you supposed to be getting? You're not supposed to be necessarily getting anything back, you're supposed to be pouring into. So the important thing is that you all don't try to predict how people should respond, right? So yes, somebody's going to be on their phone. Yes, somebody's going to be half asleep. Yes, somebody's going to be looking out the window, right? It doesn't mean that they're not listening. It doesn't mean that they're not paying attention. It doesn't mean that they don't care about what's happening. It might just be how they're engaging. Some people can multitask. Because, you know, I'll admit, I saw your hand. I've done this before, sort of like called on somebody that was on their phone. Can you repeat what I said? And they repeat everything I said. Yeah. Right? It was just how they were able to engage in the situation. A lot of times when you really read a person, you can kind of tell. If this person is not connected, I can't worry about them. Let me worry about the people that want to be connected and spend my energy on them. Okay?
I feel that for me, the hardest part is not for them to see me, because whenever I'm listening to someone, I usually start to Google. And so, like right now. But it's the hardest thing for me is not whenever they're not looking at me, but whenever they start laughing to each other. Because, and I know that it's not because of me, like, oh, look what she did. Look, ha ha ha. No, it's more like she reminded me of something funny, and so I have to go on this person. I don't think that's a bad thing, but sometimes in our heads we just feel like, what are they saying? Are they saying something about me? And that's just kind of
There's a group of people behind me that are talking in a language I don't know. What are they talking about?
Yeah.
And we get worried about that. And we think, and most of us, we go right there. And even for those of us in the room that, did we talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
Even for those of you that know more than one language, you're like, but I don't know this language, what are y'all saying? What are they saying? You know? And so we automatically go there. But it might be that opportunity for us to, in a sense, kind of check ourselves and not make that quick assumption. And so very similarly, if somebody is looking down on their phone, if they're looking out the window, if their arms are folded, and they're kind of just looking off in this, you know, let's not make assumptions, right? And you give everybody in the space the same energy, as if everyone's just like, what can you tell me next, right? You give everybody that same energy, even the ones that seem like they don't want to be there. Right?
I don't know if it's the right way to approach it, but when I was speaking with the bottle last week, it was a microphone, and I did hear like people, what's going on? Did I miss something? I was like, well, I'll finish something and then I'll find out.
Right? So you did notice it, but it didn't take you off your game, so to speak. You said, let me just get through this, and then I can wonder and worry.
Yeah, I was kind of looking for somewhere in the room.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Just a question. You said that, you know, not to take it personally.
No, I didn't. I'm joking. I'm joking. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I get that, but I was just wondering, like, do you have to sometimes, I don't know, look at the crowd and kind of pick up on, like, look at it as an indicator that you need to put somewhere
that's a really good point. I think if you're, so for example, if I'm presenting and nobody's looking up at all, that's probably me, you know, and there's probably something that I need to do. And if it's just a couple of people, then I can dismiss that. Now, if you have, you know, 2 minutes of speaking, right, then it might just, the moment's over, right? But then you can think about, okay, the next time I get up, was I loud enough? And that's when you lean on each other. Was I loud enough? No. Okay. You know, and I remember that for next time. If you're up there for a while and you can tell that nobody seems to be engaged, then yes. Now, what do you do in those moments? And when that's a whole other training. But let me give a couple of things. So, you can pause and say, does anyone have any questions at this point before we go on? Right? Sometimes when people also, they kind of do the tune you out thing, there's different things that you can do where you can change sort of that dynamic. So sometimes I'm talking, it seems like no one's listening, I'll just stop talking. And people are, you know, it's like, wait,
You're like, what?
what's going on? Yeah. Or you can say, you all don't want to do, I'm just saying, there's a couple things I do. For those of you that have your phone out, could you put it away? People are like, oh, he saw me, right? And all it does is just like, then I know who has their phone out, because I wasn't paying that much attention. I'm not saying that you all should do that. But yes, there are things that you should think about in real time. And typically maybe it's you're being too formal, you're not really connecting with them. And so then you can pause and say, you know, again, does anyone have any questions? Or you can say, let's stop right there and let's get a show of hand. You do what I call response moment, right? Those of you who grew up in the church know about call and response. And so you can have a moment where you say, let's pause for a moment. How many of you know exactly what you want to take this semester, next semester? You know, some sort of random question, right? Oh, I know. You get them engaged, right? So then you're bringing the attention back to you through call and response, you know. How many of you would love to take a vacation and go somewhere for the entire summer? You know, just ask something kind of random, right? You get people kind of responding a little bit, and then you can say, okay, cool. Now let's go back into the information, right? We'll find a better way to transition back, but then you're able to do that, and hopefully you grab some people's attention that you did not have before, right? If it's a long session, and sometimes you say, you know what, let's take a 3-minute break. You're planning for 5 minutes because it always takes longer, but you say, everyone, let's take a 3-minute break, right? And then you actually give them a break if it looks like it's, like if I were going till 9 or 10, I'd give you all a break at some point, but we're almost out of time. Yes?
I'm very formal. It's like when it's with my friends, I can be silly, but if I'm doing something that it's work related, it's like I take my hat and just.
Yeah, I have
it's very hard for me to relax and engage and do jokes and that sort of thing. How can you connect with people because you just look very stiff, you know?
Yeah.
People think that you're really boring or stiff or strict, but it's hard to express yourself in a different way.
It's because, well, for me, it's because I automatically think that I'm in like work mode. Like, I know it shouldn't be that, you know, serious, but that's just how I think of it in my head. And like she said, like when I'm with my friends and things, it's the complete opposite. So it's like you know that you can be not so formal, but it's hard to be.
Anyone else? They're not, y'all aren't the only two. Anyone else feel that way? Okay. Let me respond. Gold at work, blue, orange outside of work. Kind of those dynamics, right? So this idea that I've clocked in, and so everything's gonna be on time, everything's gonna be done well, but I'm kind of rigid in that way. And then when I'm away from work, when I'm around family and friends, when it's on the weekend, when it's after 5, I let loose. And when it's people I know and I'm comfortable with, they get to see the other sides of me. You all have already answered some of that question by being able to identify it. So the fact that you all know that that's something that you want to work on and get better at is a great starting point. For those that are really gold at work and don't know how to be spontaneous orange or super warm blue for work, right? Plan for it, right? Put it in your actual plan, right? tell a joke here. Now that's a really, I'm kind of being silly about that, right? But that might work for some of us that are really gold at work. But the other thing you can do is look at ways to engage the audience to where they get to do that and be that, and you don't have to worry about taking it on if it's really a struggle for you. Call response is a good way to do that, right? How many people are willing to put your hand up and say you're pretty nervous about starting college? Some hands may go up, you know. Okay, let's get a couple responses. Maybe what are some of y'all nervous about? And then essentially you're putting the work back onto your group. And then you don't have to worry about taking that on. And then to facilitate some call response, some quick answer, oh, I can do that. So then you don't have to take on that responsibility of feeling like you have to be sort of the caretaker or the funny comedian within that moment. Does that make sense? So that's one example of something you can do. Now, if we have more questions about that, let's do that later. Chi-Chi, you had your hand up 20 minutes ago. You good? It was a long time ago. I was just trying not to forget. If you're good, are you good? If you're good, you're good.
I mean, I'm going to be trying to remember what I was going to add. It's because
okay. You can talk about it. Aaron?
Yeah, so like one of our words was like, imagine like in my group, if there are only greens, like I'm a strong green and blue, but if the only greens if there's no orange, I'm scared like who make the people to be bored? Because I don't know how to make jokes. Like for example, Robin, for me she's awesome. Like I jokes at everything, but if you're not a natural orange, you can't do those kind of jokes. And I'm scared like if there's no orange, it's going to really enjoy it.
So I'm going to use the same answer to that, and I think that what y'all are coming up with is this is real stuff. Like this is what you all should be nervous about and at least asking and talking about. So when you're in those moments, again, that's when I think you can trust the people that you're working with, right? So there's somebody else that might be orange. Hey, get up, Kyle, get up and tell them jokes. You know, or you can get into your audience, you know, and say, okay, before we begin, we're going to begin in 2 minutes, but I have a Snickers fun size candy bar, because it's all I got in my bag, is a little melted, but this Snickers fun size candy, there's a joke, y'all could have laughed at that, for whoever has the best joke that's appropriate, that's really appropriate, right? And then you get your, oh, I got a joke. You get that person that's been waiting for that opportunity. Like, oh, well, you should, what's your major? My major is, you know, film. Well, you should be in front of the camera, standing behind it. And then you move on, right? And so really getting your audience involved in that, right, can make a difference. So then, again, you don't have to take on that, what was funny, what happened? You experienced that earlier, Carlos, you experienced that earlier. Well, you don't have to take that on yourself. And I'll come around.
I have a question, but it's just like for story times, because I know there's people out there that are just like, I don't want to be here. I don't have to be here. I never feel that I know. I'm just gonna stay right here and just think nothing. And give you like nasty looks. You know?
Now, what about them if they're giving you the nasty look, or if they say something that's a smart?
The nasty look.
Nasty look? Give them one back. Give them one back. Or you can say,
What if you be the one to call me all the time? You want to be nasty? You want to ask me a question.
say that again, I missed it.
That's awesome. Like if they're nasty or they got a stank look on their face, you always call on them. Give you a reason to be nasty. Or
you can say, you can pause and you do the call. I don't know if y'all can figure this out right now. I love call response, right?
Yeah.
And so you can just say, sometimes when you are going to be in a class this fall, your professor is going to, well, let me back up. You start with, just so you all know, word of advice, your professor in the front, when you're in the front of the classroom, you can notice everything. So there's certain things that you all should be aware of. Don't be on your phone too much because your professor can see that. For those of you that have trouble with the stank face, call them out without calling them out. You gotta think your professor may pick up on that. How many of you know that you have a stank face? And the person with the stank face probably won't raise their hand and say, so for those of you that have a stank face but haven't put your hand up, I just want to remind you that you can. So there's ways in which you can, and then they get smaller and smaller and smaller. And again, what we don't want to do is judge why you're getting a stank face.
Right. No one attacking.
And for every stank face, there's going to be several faces that are smiling. That's who needs to get your attention and energy. Right?
right? You But the thing is, the reason why I feel like insecure about that is because when I first came, that was hammering to my ear. Actually, when I first came, I wanted to become a lawyer. That's what I came to the US to study. But everybody can say, when you become a lawyer, you're gonna argue, no one's gonna hear you, you need to change your. So like, I had like different jobs. I was like, okay, if I'm not gonna be a lawyer, I'm gonna be this or this. So like, I had fallback plans. So it wasn't really that bad, but it's just like it was hammering to me a lot that okay, every time I speak now, I kind of aware of okay, I have an accent, I need to articulate more. So that's gonna make me even more uptight, trying to like articulate every word I say. So I don't know how I'm gonna like I guess fix the problem.
Well, I don't think it's a problem, and I don't think it's something for you to fix. Now here's my take. Here's my take. Right? I grew up in Oklahoma, and I guess we have an accent, but I grew up around people that my college algebra class, my freshman year, we had a teaching assistant that did. There was like an instructor record, but there was a graduate student that mostly taught the course after the second week. So the professor, white male from America, whatever, he taught, and then he was like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna hand it over to TA for the rest of the semester. A student from India, he had and I don't mean he was born here. He was born and raised in India. He came here for grad school, so a very heavy accent. And there were students that, I mean, the whole time complained, I can't understand. I never had an issue with it. Why? Because I listened. I paid attention, right? So this isn't really to answer your question, but I get frustrated when people make excuses for things they shouldn't make excuses for. You can understand. You just need to pay attention. That, and you need to get out a little bit more, right? Especially where we are as a country now. We are so much more international than we were when and where I grew up. Like, if you're just like, well, I don't understand. Like, when I hear an accent, I'm intrigued. I don't want to know where the person's from. I will eavesdrop in conversation and be like, no, that's not that. I'll be like, that's not Mexican Spanish. That's Honduran Spanish. You know, and I get that from my wife's family because they do that. They're much better than I am, but I'm intrigued, right? So, although there will be people in the room that are just like, ugh, that just they haven't been exposed, and we hope that they come around. There's still going to be people in the room that are going to be fine and not have any issues.
Don't let them get me.
Also call response, right? How many of you got family back at home that have a heavy accent? Not the same as mine. You know, sometimes we can own it and just be like, how many of you think I have an accent? People are like, uh-oh.
Like, okay, everybody should have their hand up. Come on, guys.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, y'all think I have an accent? Or when the hands go up, they're like, whoa, y'all think I have an accent? Well, I think I have an accent too. So let's listen up. And then you go back into it. And a lot of times those moments can break the ice, not just for you, but for the other people that are feeling a little bit nervous, you know. So yeah, basically, if you want the best information, you have to listen to me a little bit closer. You know, there's little things that you can do to sort of break the ice, make yourself feel more comfortable, but you have to be confident in who you are and everything that you represent. And if that includes having an accent, so what? People just need to step up. People need to step up. That's how I feel.
Something made me change the way I think about people in an audience or people in a class, and like distinct face or people, looking at you and you wondered what they're thinking. I stopped letting it bother me, and I taught a class, and I've been teaching this class for a couple of years now, and there's different people in it all the time. And so, there was a girl in my class a couple of years ago, and I just was like, she just does not want to be here. And it was for a credit. So she did not want to be here, she did not want to be here, and I'm just thinking this through the whole entire course of this class. And at the end, I asked a question at the end, and it's a written question, and they say, asking them if there's anything that they learned from, did they learn anything from this class? If anything, what did you learn from this class? If anything, they don't have to write anything. And I tell them that beforehand. There's a question on there, there's 2 questions, they're totally, your decision. You don't even have to answer them. If you want to answer them, you can, and that's it. Well, she wrote on, I had to figure out who it was. I was like, who? Oh my gosh, okay, who was this person? Who wrote this? Because she wrote something like she She learned so much from the class, and she had steak face the whole damn semester. No, so I stopped right there. I was like, I'm not judging people by the way that they look, because that's not fair, you know, to do that, because I don't know what they're thinking about, and that might be their face, because one time I told my daughter, you need to change your face, and I used to say that all the time. I need to change that face. One day I said it to her, and she goes, this is my face, I can't help it. Oh, she was like 20 at the time. Hello. She was being a little smart pants. But no, you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know if they're like nervous themselves. Because it was a yoga class, the one that she was in. You don't know if she's nervous herself, or I'm not good at this, or I don't know what's going on. Everybody looks like they know what they're doing, you know, or whatever. So I just stopped. I was like, somebody would have a steak face, and I would look at them and go, you know what, they're really enjoying this.
And to add to that, sometimes you don't know what they're going through, right?
Yeah.
And so, just being patient. And I think the reason that you got that kind of feedback is because you didn't change or alter how you engage the class or them because of their same things. You gave them the same energy, the same service.
The way I feel is I still have to give the same information. I'm not going to not give information because somebody thinks the information is boring or they've already heard it or whatever. I still have to give the information, you know, and nothing's going to get around that. You know what I mean? So I still just deliver it the same exact way.
Okay, let's get Amanda and then I'm going to close because I know I'm over time.
To piggyback on Ms. Robinson, my biggest problem is always, people always say, why don't you smile? What's wrong with you today? And I'm like, nothing's wrong with me. Like, it gets really annoying when they're like, this is my face. I change it. I don't, you know, or they're like, why are you so mad? Why don't you smile? And I'm like, if honestly, I'm having the best day ever, but I'm not gonna walk around and just be cheesing like. I've always. So it's really, even when I go to work and stuff, my manager's like, what's wrong with you, man? I'm like, nothing. What's wrong with you? It's annoying. Like, this is my face. I'm sorry I don't smile all day, every day, and that's just, you know, like, I walk around, and sometimes I have so much going on in my head that I'm thinking as I'm walking, so I might look like I'm mean. And like I learned as I'm older is that a lot of people don't approach me and they don't really talk to me because of the way my face looks. And then when they get to know me, they're like, oh, you're the coolest person ever. And I'm like, duh. I've been like this all the time. So it's like, I mean, I understand because I am that student that just sit there like, but it's just while you're teaching, I'm thinking about stuff, and then sometimes the stuff that you're saying, I'm relating it to my life. So I'm thinking like, how can I go back and, you know, use what you're saying in this class?
So let's connect the last two comments, right? So one difference for all of us is when you're in front. That's the difference. And so part of our own work is I'm in front of a group. Am I smiling? You know, no. And do I look pleasant? You know, if I can't look pleasant, then I'm gonna do that whole work on the side. You only see the side profile until I have to start. Right? And I'm gonna work on the side. You know, but knowing what you need to do for the group. So yes, it is important that you look pleasant when you're the presenter because that's what people are needing to feel some sort of connection or to feel some sort of comfort. And if I have faces that are like my dad's, and look at all these people sitting here owning up. You know, I have faces that are like my dad's, and people just think that I'm really angry, and I'm not. I'm thinking about something I forgot I was supposed to do earlier, or something I have coming up, or whatever. And so, but when I get in front of a group, I have to know that I need to shift it a little bit. And that's temporary. You don't have to change who you are, but you just have to know, okay, I'm in front of a group, right? It's a tour guide, right, has to know that they need to have a certain energy if they're giving a tour. They could be a sort of quiet, almost boring person, except for when they punch in that clock to give that tour. And so you all are going to be in front of a group of students that are nervous, excited, too cool for school, you know, first generation, don't even know if they're going to be able to make it through the first week, right? And it's up to us, it's up to you all to give them a certain amount of energy. So just think, okay, temporarily 20 minutes, I need to smile. But as we talked about session, maybe it was session 2, don't do the fake smile. You remember that? You do that? Don't do the fake smile. Okay, one more thing and we'll get done. I don't expect y'all to even be able to read this, but this is the diversity statement for the University of Indiana's Residence Life Program Office. It's very long. That's okay. It is. But this is what I want y'all to focus on. In their diversity statement, theirs is an internal, external. So it's for everybody that's in the community. The staff that work there, the people that live in that environment, the people that participate in their programs. But they talk about being professionally and personally committed to diversity, to celebrating the rich diversity, so forth and so on. They talk about the diversity of our communities takes many forms. What I love about that is it opens this dialogue up to diversity isn't just this one singular thing. It takes many forms. It can be in the form of programs, conversations, how people look, who's paired up as roommates. It takes on many different forms. This might be my favorite line in any diversity statement ever. Any attempt to oppress any individual or group is a threat to everyone in the community. Now, if you go to some MLK quotes, some Gandhi quotes, then you're going to see something similar. But this idea of putting this in a diversity statement that everyone to adhere to, if you attempt to oppress any individual or group, it's a threat to everybody. Powerful, very powerful. Okay? So, you all have actually given me some homework on some things to do and put together for you all for tomorrow. I will be on time because I know where we're going, but I'm looking forward to it. I really appreciate y'all's attention today. Tomorrow's it. Tomorrow's it. I will ask this. If you all have, did John and Tisha email you? I emailed them the PowerPoint. They see
No,
that?
we
haven't.
Yes.
So check it out. This is what happened.
I think they did. Was it the video?
No, not the video. The email list that y'all filled out is somewhere. I have misplaced it. It's in something. Okay, so we'll make sure that y'all get that. But if you all have questions or anything that you want me to cover tomorrow, email me or Facebook me or tweet at me. All right? So if there's anything that you're just like, I'm waiting, I might be covering tomorrow. But if you're like, nope, I really want us to discuss this, then please send that to me so I can incorporate it for tomorrow. Yes. Email address. Ready?
No.
It is. All right, so that's so it is love, peace, and progress all together at gmail.com. Love, peace as in peace to you.
Love, peace,
and progress at gmail.com. That's
So
all.
y'all check that website. Anybody?
You have? It's nice.
I like it, man.
Good.
Interested in some of the presentation too, man. So.
Good. Yeah. So that's the website. That's the Twitter handle. And I'm on Facebook. So add me if you haven't added me yet. You can message me. You don't have to add me if you don't want to. You can message me. Or you can send me a tweet, or you can email me at lovepeaceandprogress@gmail.com. I don't know what they have next for y'all. Boom, here it comes. Okay.
Is it .com
at gmail.com? Yeah. lovepeaceandprogress@gmail.com. So thank y'all for your attention. We'll have fun tomorrow.
That was a good ending. What's that?
How'd y'all enjoy that?
Loved it.
Loved it. Touch me there, tell them loved it.
Loved it.
So today, we're going to be here tomorrow and Thursday. Tomorrow and Thursday we'll be right here in this room.
This Thursday?
Yes. Tomorrow.
Yeah, I won't be here this. I'll be here tomorrow.
For the rest of the people, we'll be
Sorry.
Thursday. We'll see you here
How many people will be here tomorrow?
You will be?
It better be. Oh, that's it.
Right.
Excellent. I just want to make sure. How many will be here on Thursday?
We'll be here Thursday. Will.
Will,
No.
Will, you have an accent.
Yes, I do.
No, not you, Will.
Oh.
This one. Right. We're missing some people. We're missing a few people as we're going, and we need to make sure we reach out to your friends and your colleagues, make sure they're here as many trainings as possible. It's gonna be very, very imperative that we get closer and closer to orientation. You may not feel it now, but once you get on that stage and you look around, it's just you or you and one other person, boom, won't be if who hasn't shown up. It's gonna be a little difficult, especially as we jump to this content. What you're learning today, what you've been learning on first week of July at the retreat is kind of the foundation of what you're building up. But once Thursday start, we're gonna be getting into really the content, using what you learned and really being able to run with it. So make sure you tell everyone to be here, okay? Go to this. All right.
Thank you. See y'all tomorrow.
Awesome. All right, for the people who didn't go to the retreat, it was awesome. It was. So we didn't get a chance to talk about everything.
Way to rub it in.
Black song?
Black song.
Black song.
All right. Anybody else who wants to give their experience at the retreat? Anybody who wants to just offer their experience at the retreat, tell Robert and Jacob and let them know what happened, and just get them catch them up. Go ahead.
Okay, so it was pretty great because of the fact that we got to interact with other people that weren't just FYE doctors. So what you missed out was meeting a bunch of people. Yeah. So we got to do a bunch of different activities that were group related, and now I forgot. I had this whole thing I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's nice to spill in, actually. We'll come back to you. Robert's on the wall and then think.
I think for me, I actually had to do a discussion board on this topic. Yeah, I had to do the discussion board on either watching an adventure course and challenge course and telling what the experience was for those people. What did I see in our chapters that we've read on leadership? What? What? Leadership and adventure and challenge and camping? Yeah, all in the same weekend. Anyway, so, sorry. That was inappropriate. That's not what I was going to say. He's so serious. He's like.
Right, ready to take
What I wrote was, and this is from one of the classes that you might be taking. What I wrote was that it was about the challenge course and rooting everybody on, and it thinking it was going to be one experience when it really was another. Were you at the top when I was at the top? Okay, so I talked about you in my discussion board. What is your name? I just said she. And then there was a guy up there. Don't tell me. Yeah, tell me. Jesse was up there, and it was really. I got goosebumps thinking about it. It was really weird. Noe was up there. Nori. Sorry, I can call you Noe. You can do it all weekend. And I talked about how we just, you get to know someone, and she was just saying how she was scared. She was really scared. And so for me, I was scared, but when I got up there, I didn't want to show I was scared because they were scared. And then I looked, and Jesse was really scared. And I was like, okay, so just act like you're not scared and act like that guy's not trying to pull you down. Just be okay. And so I wasn't just at the bottom cheering them on. was up on the top, like, you know, trying to calm them down, so I'm just take a breath, relax. Yeah, I was saying breathe.
That's what I did with
breathe.
Nori at first, but because it's so long, it sinks in and it really gets to you. And then eventually you can't have that facade, you can't have that mask that you paint on anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, and talking with them while they were up there, Nori was up there, tell me your name again? Cynthia was up there, and Jessie, and they all didn't want to go. And so when I climbed up, I was still attached. They couldn't unattach me. So I was like, I think I'm up. I realized I was going to fall, but I couldn't say anything. All I could do was just try to help them. Yeah, and so she finally went, and then Jessie was like,
went first.
oh, did he go first?
Yeah. He freaked me out because he shook everything and I was already on the edge.
That was great. Yeah, but when he put his other hand, I said, you can put your right hand up. I can't believe I was even saying this to him. I really can't believe I was saying this to him. But I couldn't believe how scared he was. So I said, put your right hand up. Just inhale and exhale. Take a deep breath. I think I even looked down at you guys at the bottom and went, but yeah, it was, I think, connecting with people that I didn't even know. That's kind of what I wrote about. You know, Jessie and I sat out on the porch and talked after that, you know, because we felt like we knew each other, you know, so it was really, I thought that was really interesting about it. And just everybody, it was like very moving to really see. I didn't want to go up to tell you I was going to go up the stairs. I didn't want to go up the rock climbing wall because I had tried to go up a rock climbing wall a couple of years ago in like a gym, rock climbing gym, and I got so exhausted and fatigued I couldn't make it to the top. I just couldn't. I was so tired. And so I ended up coming down. So I was like, I don't want to get fatigued. I don't want to get tired. I'm just going to take this ladder. I just kept telling myself that. And I'm afraid of heights. I've kind of developed this fear of heights the older I get. So I didn't want to go up the ladder. But after everybody kept going, I was like, you know what? I'm going to at least try. What made me do it was watching somebody go up, come down, and then go back up, and then come back down again. I was like, I have to at least try it. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. I can go up there and come back down. Yeah, I don't even have to do it. It's okay. So I went up the rock wall, and then everybody kept saying, hey, you were going up that rock wall so fast.
She scaled it.
I thought it wasn't drawing me. I didn't feel myself going.
Yeah.
They were like, you were like, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Yeah, I think I did it. That's why I'm calling you Mary.
Actually, you remember what you were going to say?
I know. I'll send an email out with my beautiful feet.
Well, once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out to the retreat, all that's coming out to all the training. We really appreciate your commitment and you guys' just dedication to the program. It's going to be great. I'm sure it's working now, but it's going to be more worthwhile when you see the faces of students if you really connect with it and you understand why the experience that you went through. You understand why you wrapped this at tonight, why you're these people. You understand all that at the end of the day when you see that student that his life has changed because of the orientation and because of how you're connecting with them throughout the semester. It's going to mean a lot to them. And so I'm excited, to see you all here. I had a student that came to my office today and just stopped there and said, hey, I just want to do something to change people's lives. And I was like, man, you walked in the right office. That's what we do. We help change people's lives in hopes that they will go out and change others. Have you guys heard that saying, one reach one?
Yes.
You reach one, that they may go and reach another person. And that's what we're here about. Is once you get all these experiences, all these great knowledge nuggets from great people, you go out and you be the great person that you need to be for somebody else.
And many of you guys are here because you were touched in your orientation. So you already know how that feels and what powerful impact that has. And so now you guys get to be a board and really be that for not just one person, but maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the cycle will continue, and then next summer they'll be here trying to be FYE directors. And so you really are, in a bigger picture, almost leaving your legacy. So just know that. Just know that you are. And speaking of life changing, and not to get on things that like
But you got.
Yeah.
You didn't get it? Yes.
I did, John. I have a midterm coming up.
Okay, so how many, let me do it again, how many of y'all did not receive it?
What
The program is
Who was it from?
It was from me.
It was from,
Okay.
just to clarify, is the programming guide, the one that came with the little calendar?
Yep.
Yes, the calendar was
That's it.
attached with it.
Yes, the revised training schedule was attached with it, and the programming guide is literally your, footprint for orientation. Yeah, it's
July
about,
6th was the day it was sent out.
okay, yeah, July sixth.
July 6th.
Was the day that it was sent out, and that is literally the script for, the orientation. It has been updated a little bit with the beginning script, but, as far as all of the workshops and everything that you will be facilitating, that is the meat of it. So if you did not get the programming guide, please raise your hand. You said that your name was?
Wait, I just,
Okay, so you didn't get it, Samantha, you said you didn't.
I did get it. Now I remember because it was very early.
Okay, so who didn't get it? You didn't get it?
I don't think I did.
I don't think I did,
Oh, no,
because I got,
didn't get that.
I got the calendar, but.
Okay, so I'm gonna email it out to everybody, but, the reason why I wanted to mention that is because, if you have not started going, looking through that and looking at the workshops and getting familiar with that, I need you all to begin that process. We have, Mr. Kyle Clark will be here again tomorrow. That'll be his last session with us, and then on Thursday, we're gonna start hitting it heavy with that programming guide. So I would like for you all to have looked at it, be familiar with it, come with questions that you have, about any of the workshops, any of the things that's gonna happen, because we're gonna start diving in and training on that. So please come prepared on, Thursday and review that. Yes.
You said something about a training on Sunday?
No, Saturday. Yeah, no Sunday trainings. So this week we have 4 trainings.
No, I thought I heard something. I was like, wait, that got changed?
No, she was saying that we're gonna recap Saturday and Sunday's retreat.
Oh, yeah, earlier, yeah.
I wasn't there for Sunday, so.